Good afternoon. Welcome to all of you to this online training on commercial negotiation for export. My name is Brahim Allali, and I'm a consultant to ITC and to other international organizations. I'm a former professor at HEC Montreal, where I taught for over 15 years. And I'm a consultant on international strategy and development since 1993. I'm very happy to be here with you today, and I would like to thank very warmly the team for giving me this opportunity to be with you to talk about an important topic, which is international negotiation. Okay, I have a problem with the. Sorry about that. I think that my screen is frozen. Sonia, can you help me with your presentation, please?
Sure, you want me to share my screen instead?
Okay.
I can do this, but you
Okay. I think it works. Okay. Hold on. Okay. I would like to start with this presentation actually with a quotation by Chester Carras, who is a specialist on trade negotiation, and he published a book in '96 whose title was "In Business as in Life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate." Like, it means that you've got to negotiate everything, and a lot of people actually negotiate all the time with all the people in all settings. Then we're going to find out that negotiating is one important attribute associated with mankind. Then this presentation is going to be articulated around some important points. In an introduction, we're going to find out about what negotiation is and what distinguishes negotiation from other neighboring words or names, such as discussion, explanation, information, and so on. In the second section, we're going to deal with basic concepts of commercial negotiation, and we're going to find out about negotiation strategies, techniques, and what I call ploys or bad tactics. I would like to actually distinguish ploys from tactics, because tactics can be used in a positive way, whereas ploys are more often than not, they are used in a negative way. Third section, preparation of for commercial negotiation, how to prepare a good commercial negotiation. Then the 10 qualities of a good negotiator, negotiation steps, simulation of a sales price negotiation, and other recommended preparations. Who will you negotiate with? Then typology of negotiators, negotiation methods that are frequently used by those negotiators, segments of food product negotiators you will be most probably you will be negotiating with, people who buy food products from you, then importers and so on. The course of the negotiation, then negotiation pyramid, that presents a kind of classification of negotiation steps, and the plain metaphor. Okay, and the last section, the last two sections will deal with how to ensure a good follow-up and what the most important takeaway messages that you can keep in mind after this presentation. Then let's start with trying to give a definition of what negotiation is or is not. Then some people ask whether the man is a kind of homo negotiatus. Homo negociatus is somebody who is keen on negotiating everything, everywhere, with everyone. And sometimes, as Michel Bauer puts it, sometimes the man or the woman are pushed to negotiate with themselves. And Michel Bauer says that everybody, every one of us has three heads: a head of Homo economicus, a head of Homo politicus, and a head of pater familias. Homo economicus is somebody who is interested mainly and sometimes even exclusively in making profit, in becoming richer. And that's why the Homo economicus is somebody who looks for profit, who looks for gain. Then it doesn't matter what it costs. The most important is how much it's going to make him wealthier. The Homo politicus is somebody who's interested mainly in power, okay, exerting power. Then even if they lose financially, the most important thing is to stay in command, to be in control. And the pater familias is somebody who's interested mainly in personal relationships. They want to stay in good terms with everybody, and they care about people working with them and with their family members as well. And just to illustrate this typology, let's take an example. An owner manager of a small business who receives an important order. And that important order would push him or her to hire more people, which will be costly, as a matter of fact, and to buy new equipment. And here he's wondering, or she's wondering, about whether to accept that order or not. And the head of Homo economicus would ask the manager whether this is something that would be profitable, okay? How much it's going to bring to him, by how much he's going to or she's going to increase their wealth, and so on. Then they're interested in making more profit, in growing the company, in making it wealthier, and so on. The Homo politicus head would ask the manager whether the risk to lose power, because in order for the manager to accept that order and to fulfill it, they've got to hire new people. And as I said, it's costly, and to buy new equipment. And for that, they may either accept a financial partner or borrow money from a bank. And in both cases, they are going to lose a part of their power. And if the order is not profitable enough, they may have maybe to sell the company, or to make it to drive it out of business, or to file it in bankruptcy or something like that. Then they may lose power as manager. Then that head would push them to consider the power side of the decision. And the head of the paterfamilias would tell the manager, beware, because if it turns out to be a failure, people working with you will be laid off. And what would happen to their families, and so on. Then any decision that the manager makes is a kind of balance between the negotiation between the three heads. Is it profitable? Is it going to push me to lose power in the company, or to not to be in command any longer? And how would happen, what would happen to people working with me? Then any decision that we make, according to Michel Bauer, is a kind of a consequence or a result of a negotiation project. Okay, sometimes we are not even conscious about it, and it's a negotiation process that takes place in our minds, and the decision we make is a reflection of that result of negotiation. Then negotiating is always linked to achieving a goal, what we want to achieve through negotiation. Then negotiation aims to attain a goal, which is either informing, describing, and explaining, to have an agreement, or state and convince something or someone to get a result and to get an agreement, or testify about something. Then there is always a goal that is associated with negotiating. Then the negotiation is different from some neighboring names like discussion. Discussion is less about reaching an agreement, which implies that negotiation is about reaching an agreement. Then in a discussion, there is no agreement actually to be reached. Then, it's different as well from explanation, where we want to clarify things, to make things clearer. And here as well, we don't look for achieving an agreement or reaching an agreement. The most important purpose of explanation is to make things clearer and to make things that are seems and clear, to clarify them and to make the other party or the other person understand what we want them to understand. And it's not about reaching an agreement again, whereas negotiation is about reaching an agreement. Then negotiation often forms part of the sales interview, where we're trying to sell something. Then sometimes it encompasses or it requires going through negotiation because of the position of the parties that might be divergent or might be different. And to bridge that gap between the two positions or the two parties, we try to negotiate to achieve a kind of agreement. And we do it through concessions. We make concessions for the sake of getting to that result, which is an agreement between the two parties. Then sometimes we don't need to negotiate, we just inform, because people ask us to give them an information. Then when we prospect, we get some information request or inquiry from people interested in buying our product. And we then did that information inquiry or request is asking us to give them, to provide them with an information. Then here there is no negotiation, we give them the information. And if they need other information, they are going to ask us for it. Once we make a proposal or a quotation, okay, if the buyer accepts it, agrees to it, then they are going to place an order. If they don't, they may ask us to reduce the price or to revise some conditions and so on. And to do that, we've got to negotiate. The negotiating implies that there are two positions that are divergent or different, and we have to make them convergent. And for the sake of making them convergent and to bridge that gap between the two positions, we go through negotiation. Okay, then negotiation is different from information. Information, you give an information that some people are asking for, whereas negotiation means that you are going to do something to make your position closer to that of the buyer, or make the position of the buyer closer to you, to yours. Then you've got to negotiate actually to bridge the gap between your two different or divergent positions. Then as a simplified definition, we can define negotiation as a confrontation, because it starts from a divergent positions, then confrontation between parties who are closely or strongly interdependent, since one of them has a solution that the other one is asking for, like for instance having a product and the buyer needs that product. Then you are interdependent. You have what they want and they want what you have. Then there is some power dynamic between you, because it depends on the power balance between you, and demonstrates a minimum willingness to reach an agreement. This is a prerequisite that is really important in negotiation. People have to have that willingness to reach an agreement through concessions. Then they are willing, they are eager to make some sacrifices to reach an agreement. Then the purpose here is to reach an acceptable solution, mutually beneficial to the parties. Okay, this is very important actually. And here in red, we have all the prerequisites, the most important ingredients of a negotiation. The negotiation is completely different, as you can see, from a simple discussion and from explanation or from providing the suit information. Then prerequisites of negotiation, we need to have negotiators. As a matter of fact, you are not going to negotiate with nobody. You've got to have on the other part somebody to negotiate with. And in commercial negotiation, you are not going to negotiate with yourself. As Michel Bauer said, okay, you are going to negotiate with somebody interested in buying what you have. Okay, then here you may perceive that relationship as adversarial, okay, or based on a partnership. Then you can perceive the other party as being your partner or your adversary. And we are going to find out about what distinguishes adversary from a partner. Okay. One important prerequisite is that you've got to have two different positions. Then there is a gap or a divergence between your two positions. If there is no gap, we cannot talk about negotiation. Then it implies that there is a gap or there is a divergence between your two positions to talk about negotiation, because the purpose of negotiation is to bridge that gap. Common willingness to reach an agreement, because if somebody is not willing to make any sacrifices, any concessions, we cannot talk about negotiation. Then concession implies that you are going to make some concessions to reach an agreement. Need for a goal and room of maneuver. Then you've got to get some leeway so that you can make concessions. Then if you come to the negotiation room willing to sell your products at 40 euros, for instance, you've got to decide the lowest you can go when negotiating a price. Then 38 euros or 37 euros, for instance, would be the lowest you can go in making concessions. Then you've got to decide about all those leeway and room of maneuver before coming to the negotiation. And here we take into consideration the power dynamics and whether they are favorable to you or not, in order for you to be involved in a negotiation process. Then section 2 about basic concepts of commercial negotiation, so that we can understand what are the most important concepts and tools we need in a negotiation. Then first, let's start with negotiating strategies. For the strategies for negotiation, we have two main families of strategies. We have what we call distributive strategies, and we call them as well competitive strategies or win-lose strategies. And as their name reveals, these strategies means that one negotiator is going to gain what the other one is going to lose. Then it's something that is in the interest of one negotiator and not in the interest of the other one. Whereas the second one is completely the opposite. It's called the integrative strategies. The family is called integrative strategies, or collaborative strategies, or cooperative strategies, or win-win strategies. As again and again, as their name reveals, it means that we are going to win, both of us, the two negotiators are going to win from that negotiation, because they are going to look for a mutually beneficial solution that is in the interest of the two parties. Then no one is going to claim all the gain for himself or herself. Then they are going to actually strive for reaching a mutually benefit agreement. Okay, and here, as you can see, we have here the confrontation between the two families of strategies. Okay, then the most important one is to be here, to collaborate. Then I win, you win. Okay, whereas here, my needs being met, then I am gaining, and your needs are not being met. Then here, compete, I win, you lose. And this is what I call the competitive strategy or distributive strategy. Okay, whereas here, it's the opposite. The other one is going to win and I'm going to lose. And this is something that is not sustainably beneficial, because we are looking for something that is sustainable. Okay, because we look here to build a relationship. We look for building a relationship that is sustainable and that is everlasting. Okay, here distributive and distributive, we're going to lose both of us. It's not in our interest to negotiate anything because it's not negotiable. Okay, and here in this part, or here actually compete. Here, some people, some negotiators say or seems to say, what is mine, and what is yours is negotiable. And this is something actually that depicts a position of competitive strategy that is being adopted by the other party. And it's something that we need to avoid, because the most sustainable strategy is this one, when everybody wins, because they are going to keep doing business again and again and again. This is something that people should strive for. What we call negotiators' dilemma, okay, we are naturally, or almost naturally, keen on making deals that are in our interest. Okay, we don't care about whether the other negotiator is going to win or not. And naturally, we look for something that is in our favor. Okay, and even if it's not in the favor of the other negotiator, we don't care. And this is something that is natural, as we said, and we've got to struggle against it when adopting an integrative strategy like this one. Okay, we are the temptation to look for our own interest at the expense of the other negotiator is high. Then we should struggle against it so that we cannot accept a deal that is not beneficial to the other party as well, because if it's not, we cannot count on that customer to buy from us again in the future. Because if we made him or her lose in this negotiation, then the likelihood that they buy from us is very low in the future. Okay, then that's what we call the dilemma, and we've got to actually to select the integrative strategy, win-win strategy, so that we cannot accept something that is favorable to us, that is beneficial to us, and it's detrimental to the other negotiator. About negotiated techniques, then the overall approach is what we call strategy. Then we came to the negotiation room with a mindset that looks for a win-win situation, a win-win agreement, and how to operationalize that, how to put it into effect. It's through techniques. And techniques are actually the practices that are used on the field to depict, to operationalize the strategy. Then we have different techniques, and the most important ones are here. And we should distinguish between what we call main negotiation techniques and punctual or secondary techniques. Then the main negotiation techniques are point by point. Then we come to the meeting, the negotiation room with an agenda agreed upon with the other negotiator. And we said, first point, we are going to negotiate this, the Incoterm, for instance. The second one, we're going to negotiate the packaging. Third point, we're going to negotiate this and that, and so on. Then point by point means that we're going to negotiate point after point, and we're not going to move on to the following point unless we have reached an agreement on the first point. Then we negotiate the price, and when we agree on the price, we move on to the packaging. And once we agree on packaging, we move on to delivery and so on. Then point by point. Gradually means that we are going to negotiate the clauses of a contract or the articles of a contract. We read a document, we read something, okay, and we agree or disagree as we're reading, okay? And somebody is reading as the other one stops him or her and tells them, okay, I don't agree on this point, let's negotiate. And they negotiate, and once they agree to that article or to that clause, they move on to the following one in the document and so on. This is what we call gradually, and it's there is a kind of resemblance between this point, this technique, and the previous one. Give and take. It's a technique of negotiation that implies that whenever you make a concession, you ask for a concession as a counterpart. Then this negotiation is made here on a reciprocity basis. You give something and you've got to take something as a counterpart, okay, as a counterparty of what you gave. Okay, you say, okay, we'll reduce the price, okay, but what would you give me as a counterpart? Then I reduce the price from 4.5 to 4.2, but you give me, for instance, a higher order or a bigger order, okay? Instead of one container, you're going to place 2 containers, who ask for 2 containers, for instance. Then give and take, in the concession that is based on reciprocity. Broadening the discussion means that you're going to take a point and you're going to broaden it. Then you discuss the price, and after the price, you say, okay, but the price has some implications on the Incoterm, has some implications on the guarantee, the payment methods, and so on. Then you try to broaden each point according to its implications and consequences on other aspects and issues. The force pivot means that you are going to give the impression to the other part that you're interested in point B, for instance, and you're going to negotiate very hard the point B. And at the end, you say, okay, I'm going to give up. Okay, then I give you what you are asking for with regard to point B. But you prepare psychologically, you prepare the negotiator to make some concessions on the point that interests you, which is the point C, for instance. Then you come to the point just preceding the one that you are interested in, and you give the impression or the deception that you're interested in that point, and you're going to negotiate very hard on that point, and you give the impression that the point B is what interests you. And at the end, as I said, you yield, you give up, and you tell the other one, I gave up on this point, then give me the following point, which is actually the point that interests you the most. Okay? For instance, you are negotiating some points, and you have the price, for instance, okay? And you negotiate the Incoterm. And you give the impression that you are interested in the Incoterm. And the other party is asking for SIF, for instance, and you tell them FOB. No, I'm interested only in FOB, and I won't accept SIF, and so on. And you negotiate very hard, and at the end, you tell them, okay, I accept SIF. But what about the following point, which is the point that interests you? Then give me, I won't sell you the product at 45 euros. Okay, I can't accept that. The price would be 48, for instance, because I made a sacrifice, I made a conscious concession, and you did not make any concession to me. Then psychologically, you prepare the other party to give you a concession on something that interests you by giving the impression that you are interested in something else. Occasional or secondary negotiation techniques that we are going to use sometimes, not all the time. One technique that we call assessment and targeted assessment. Let me explain it through an example. You have, for instance, you are negotiating 5 points, okay, and you are interested in the 5th point, okay, which is the point that interests you the most, and you give up for the 4th point, okay. You give to the other negotiator what they are asking for with regard to the 1st point, the 2nd point, the 3rd point, the 4th point, and at the end of the 4th point, you stop negotiating and you tell them, okay, let's make a kind of assessment of what we have done so far. We have been negotiating since 8 in the morning. It's 10. Okay, we have been negotiating, and what you've got so far, you've got everything, because I made concessions on all the points. And why did they get? Nothing. Then here, you psychologically make a pressure on them to give you the following point, which is the point that interests you the most. Okay, this is what we call the assessment. You make assessment to make them actually understand that they have to make a concession on the point that interests you the most. Okay, it's like the faux pivot, but for pivot or forced pivot, you give the impression that one point interests you. Here, you don't do that. You just make a kind of assessment of what you have sacrificed, what concessions you have made, and in counterpart, you got nothing. Then you prepare psychologically the other negotiator to give up on the following point. Reversal. The reversal means what? Means that when asked a hard question, a tough question, and you don't have a good answer for it, okay? The negotiator asks you a question and you are embarrassed. You don't have any elements to answer that question. You are going to return it to the other negotiator. Like, for instance, you are negotiating an Incoterm, for instance, and the other, you don't accept, for instance, SIF. The other negotiator asks you, what's wrong with SIF? Okay, what bothers you in SIF? And instead of answering, because you don't have any elements, any convincing elements to answer such a question, you tell them, and what's wrong with FOB? Okay, instead of answering his question or her question, you ask them an opposite question to make them actually strive to find elements to answer your own question. Then you are going to embarrass them instead of being embarrassed yourself. This is what you call the reversal. Okay, and we have a technique that is called four-step technique. Four-step technique is a technique, as its name reveals, that is made of 4 steps, as we are going to find out here. Then we have 4 steps. The first step is the ideal position for you. Okay, but you know that it's detrimental to the other part. Then you don't expect to get this one. Okay, then you place the negotiation at the outset at this step, but you are willing to go to the second step because you know that second step is still good for you. It's not the ideal one, but it's still good for you, and it's acceptable to your partner. And at the outset, the other negotiator is at this step, step 4, and he or she knows that it's not acceptable to you, but they are going to start with. And they show their willingness to go to step 3, for instance, which is acceptable to you. It's not the ideal to them, but it's acceptable to you. Then the actually the agreement will be found, will be struck somewhere here between step 2 and step 3. And the 2 positions are good enough for both parties. Okay, are good enough for both parties. Then this one is the ideal for you, but you know that it's not detrimental, it's not beneficial to the other part. This one is good, okay, to you, and this one is good enough. And on the other side, you have here the other negotiator. Sorry. You have here the other negotiator. This position is ideal for them. They know that is not good for you, and they are willing to go back, to go down, to step down, to step 3. They know that is good to them, and it's good enough to you. Then the agreement is going to be found between step 2 and step 3, and that is what we call the negotiating techniques. And you start at 2 different positions, and after that, you try to work out something here in this area. What we call negotiation ploys. Ploys here are used in a pejorative way because I'm talking here about ploys just to make you aware of them if they are used against you, okay? So that you can identify them and struggle against them. And ploys are always used with a negative purpose, with a negative goal. Then here, some people use ploys that are aimed at creating physical discomfort. For instance, you are negotiating in the other negotiators' meeting room, and they make you sit just in front of an abnormally high level AC, air conditioner, okay, to make you freeze, and this makes you in a very discomfortable situation. Or they can make you sit in front of a blurring source of light, for instance, or they make you sit on a very uncomfortable seat, okay, or they make you fasten. They make you fast all the day. You start negotiating at 8 in the morning, and at 12, the secretary, the other negotiator secretary, comes in and tells him or her that there is a phone call from New York, for instance, that they have to take, and the other negotiator goes out, supposedly to take the phone call, but they go out to eat, and they come back and they continue negotiating with you, obliging you actually to fast for many hours. Then this is something that is aimed actually to make you in physical discomfort and to make you sign the agreement according to the conditions of the other negotiator. What we call psychological harassment employees, somebody who starts criticizing your country, criticizing your religion, saying that people from your area or from your country are dishonest, okay, they are not honest, they're not earnest, and they fooled him or her many times and so on. And the purpose here is to make you in a very psychological in difficult psychological situation, and this is meant actually to harass you and to make you again speed up the process and sign according to their conditions. Ploys to disrupt discussions, okay, and sometimes you are talking about something and you're about to reach an agreement on a point, for instance, and they jump to another point. And what will you do about this or that and so on? And the purpose here is just to disrupt discussion, to make you in a very difficult psychological situation again. Ploys to divide the opposing team. And they start here, if your negotiating team is formed of more than one person, they try to start attacking one of the negotiators by telling them that they have a bad reputation, or they've been involved in something that is bad or something like that. And the purpose here is to divide your team so that they can conquer, as you say, divide and conquer, okay, etc. And a lot of ploys that can be used, and when they are used against you, you've got to react. And I'm going to show you some tips about how to react to the use of those ploys. Preparation for commercial negotiation, which is a very important part, because some studies have found out that a negotiation actually succeeds up to 80% in terms of its preparation. Then 80% of the chance for succeeding or of winning a negotiation can be achieved through preparation, through a good preparation. Then a thorough preparation is something that you've got to do. It's very important, because 20% is just the way of implementing the techniques and so on, but 80%, yes, 80% come from a good and thorough preparation of your negotiation. Then this negotiation actually takes good negotiators. And here we have 10 most salient qualities of a good negotiator. We have active listening and empathy. Then you've got to be an active listener, which means that you're not going to jump to the conclusions of what the other is saying and tell them, okay, I've understood what you want to say. Then let them finish what they're saying and try to size up every word and try to make sure that you have understood what they want to say by rewording what they're saying, by asking them questions, by rephrasing what they're saying. If I'm not mistaken, what you want to say is this and that. Is that right? And give them the opportunity actually to correct what you have understood or to confirm that you have well understood. Very important, because you've got to answer to those questions, and you cannot answer effectively if you have not understood very well the question that is being asked. Empathy. Try to understand why they are saying what they're saying. Try to understand why they're looking at the solution the way they're looking at, and so on. Then empathy is very important as an characteristic of good or quality of good negotiators. Second quality, self-control and self-mastery. Self-control, because people are going to use a lot of ploys against you, and they're going to look for destabilizing you, and they are going to insult you sometimes, and they are going to try to offend you. Then you've got to be in self-control. Then don't lose your temper. Be master of your reaction and your behavior, and pace yourself, and do your best to calm down every time you find that you've been insulted or you are about to react negatively. Third quality, experience and mastery of the subject. The negotiation is something that you can enhance, and the qualities of negotiation can be enhanced through experience. Then the more you negotiate, and the better you come, the better you become as a negotiator. Then experience and mainly the mastery of the subject. Then you've got to understand very well what you are negotiating, and you've got to prepare very well the subject that you are negotiating. Method and preparation. You've got to use methods and to be prepared. And again, preparation is key to the success of negotiation. Then you've got to prepare yourself thoroughly and effectively so that you can perform a good negotiation process. Creativity. Creativity is very important, and we are going to find out later on that you've got to come up with prepared answers to predicted questions. But sometimes you are stuck. Sometimes the negotiation is stuck, and you've got to keep it moving on. Then to keep it moving on, you've got to be creative and to come up with new solutions and new proposals. And this is very important. And you've got to be creative actually to come up with those this kind of solutions. Flexibility. The negotiation, as we said at the beginning, is about flexibility. Then when you come to the meeting room, you come with a position, and you know that the position is different from the other negotiators, and you are willing to make concessions to reach an agreement. Then here, negotiation is about flexibility. Then come to the meeting room being actually prepared to make concessions and to be flexible in what you are saying and so on. Credibility and trustworthiness, and very important, because you've got actually to increase your credibility by building up trust with the other negotiator, by showing them that you are caring about their own interest, by showing them that you will not accept a solution or an agreement that is not in their own interest, and that you're looking for a win-win solution rather than something that is of interest to you and not for to the other parts. Then increase your credibility, negotiation after negotiation, and people are going to hear about you, about your company, and they will know that you stand for your values and that you honor your commitments and so on. Then credibility is something that can be cultivated, that can be nurtured through other negotiations and through standing for your own values. Sociability, then David charisma, as we said, then don't send to the meeting room somebody who is introverted, then somebody who is shy, somebody who is not sociable, somebody who hates to talk to other people. Then there are some people like that, then try to select the negotiator according to this value, which is very important. People who care about people, who want to discuss and who love to discuss with other people and so on. Sociability is an important attribute as well. And come to the meeting room with a win-win mindset as well, because again, you've got to struggle to fight against what I call the negotiator's dilemma, which pushes you to select a solution that is in your own interest and that is detrimental to the other negotiator. And have a team spirit, something that you cannot win by yourself, and something that takes a team to be performed. Then consider the other negotiator as a partner and work out all the pending points with them in with a team spirit. Frédérine, you still
Oui,
listen to me?
perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Then preparation steps, and as I said, it's a very important component of the negotiation process. Then we have at least 5 important steps to go through to perform a good negotiation. Then first step, thoroughly understand your company and its products. Very important actually to come to the meeting room with all the information pertaining to your company and its products in mind. Second step, thoroughly understand your target market, its operation and its channels. I heard of some people who were negotiating without knowing anything about the importing market, and they were negotiating about a price that is close to their own local market, just to find out once the agreement was reached that the price on the importing market was threefold the price negotiated. Then you've got to understand actually the market very well and understand the prices applied on that market, the competition, and so on. Okay. The third step, define your objectives and options, what you want to achieve through negotiation, what your objectives are, and what your options are. Options means what? Means if the agreement is not reached according to your own terms, what would be your setback position? Okay, what you would be the best option to you? What would be step 2 and step 3 in the when we look at the 4-step technique? Then what would be step 2 and step 3 to you? Establish clear and well-supported proposals. Then you've got to understand to translate this understanding of your company, okay, this understanding of your company and its market into a good proposal, okay, a clear and well-supported proposal. We're going to find out about it in a few minutes. Then you've got to understand very well what you're proposing, what singles out your company in the marketplace, and so on. Then what competitive edge your company has over its competitors, and so on. Then and come up with a good, well-supported, or clear proposal. And the 5th step is about anticipating the other negotiators' questions. What questions would they ask, and prepare clear and convincing responses to them. Then got what they are going to ask about, and what people generally ask about when they do that. And here we are going to show to you the more or the most salient questions that people ask, okay, in a negotiation. Then and with the purpose actually to give you an opportunity to prepare them beforehand, so that you can have the answer right away when somebody asks a question. Then always ask yourself throughout the process of negotiating 3 basic questions that are very important. The first one, why do customers should buy your products? Very important. Then here you've got to find out about the peculiarities of your product. What makes your product unique? Okay, what singles out your products from competition? Second question, why they should buy it instead of your competitors' products? Then what the added value that your product would add to them as a solution? How your product is going to answer to their own needs, problems and desires, what we call PNDs, problems, needs, and desires, and how your product satisfies these PNDs better than your competitors. And the third question, why they should buy it now rather than later. Very important then to know whether your product is timely as a solution, because PNDs evolve on the market. Then you've got to make sure that your product is right away a solution that is needed right now. It won't be needed in 2 years, it's needed right now. Then you've got to follow actually the evolution of the market and adapt your products consequently. Then if you want to depict those preparation steps in 5 big steps or phases, then here we have to undertake a good company, a good SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You perform as well an export readiness assessment, very important to find out whether your product is exportable, what are its peculiarities when compared to competitors, and so on. Then this would give you the right information about all what you need to know about your company. And sometimes after this SWOT analysis at the era, you've got to make some corrective actions or to take some corrective actions to fix things that are not satisfactory. Second step, know your target market in terms of demand, competition, distribution channels, business practices, and so on. And third, as a consequence, you define your objective, your goals, your options, set back position, and so on. And fourth step, establish clear proposals. And on the basis of your knowledge of your market or your company, prepare clear proposals, proposals that are flexible enough to be adapted to what your customer wants. And after that, as a last step, anticipate questions and prepare the convincing answers to those questions, to answer those questions. Then third step, know your company and these products. Then you've got to find out about everything regarding your company, its capacities, its abilities, its infrastructure, the product range, product capacity, and so on, so that you can give the right answer when asked the question. Then you've got to understand everything about your company and, as a matter of fact, the product. Then product technical specifications of the product that you want to export, the organoleptic, microbiological characteristics, and so on. Then it takes an analysis to find out about those features and be ready to share them with your customer or prospect. Nutritional values, traceability. A lot of people are very requiring today about the traceability of the product they are buying. Adaptability, can the product be adapted to some different uses or some different contexts, for instance. Compliance, then do you have a safety sheet, okay, that shows compliance? And a lot of people are going to ask today for a safety sheet for your food products because they want to know how to store them, how to transport them, how to use them in an effective and efficient way. Then you've got to have that safety sheet. We are going to have an example in seconds. And possible uses, how the products can be used, in what settings, and so on. And also the packaging of the product, the labeling, and what do you put on the labeling, and so on. And ULD, okay, the unit loading device used, whether the pallet or the container or whatever, or cranes or something. Then you've got to have all the details about all those points. and even more. This is an example of what we find in a safety data sheet. Okay, then here, as you can see, we have a kind of outline, and you've got to answer those questions in a very specific way so that you can have all this the information regarding the product when asked, and you can share this safety sheet with your prospects and customers. Then identification of the product, hazards identification, what hazards are likely to happen when using or when storing the product and so on. Composition information on ingredients, first aid measures, firefighting measures, if there is a fire, what to do, accidental release measures, handling and storage, and so on. Then this gives you everything you need to know about safety sheet that you can prepare, and it's frequently, though I was hesitating because it's more and more frequently required by importers of food products, mainly when some chemicals are used. Okay, when some chemicals are used, then we require or we ask for safety data sheet. Then you've got more details by visiting this website. Okay, then this example, this outline is taken out from this website. Then you can visit it and find out more about how to develop one, how to prepare one to put it at the disposal of your buyer. Second step, know your target market. Then you've got to know everything you can know about your target market, and it takes a market study, as we said in a former training. Then find out about regulatory and market characteristics of demand, regulations to comply with, demand volume and the growth potential, nature of needs, and everything that has to do with the demand, everything that has to do with supply as well, who your competitors are, what their strengths and weaknesses are, what they are proposing on the market, what volumes, what value, what are their competitive advantages, and so on. What prices are they applying, and so on. Do they have certifications, and those certifications, those certifications, or are those certifications required on the market, and so on. You've got to find out about distribution channels for food products, then the characteristics and length, margins that are abducted by distributors, current strategies, best before dates, point of sales promotion, and so on. And you've got to get information as well about successful business practices, then what works, what does not work on the market, okay, with regard to discount and rebates, credits and payment terms, and so on. Then the third step is about defining goals and options. And here you start by defining the goal that you want to achieve through negotiation. Then simply put, it's about reaching an agreement, okay, and getting an order, okay. But this goes through many processes and many steps that you've got to understand by defining your final objective and milestones so that you can attain such an objective. Ask yourself this basic question, very important. What would happen if no agreement is reached? Then what would be your setback position? Okay, do you have any option? Do you have anybody else you can sell your products to, or you don't? Okay, then it depends. Okay, and it has important implications on your decision on whether to make more concessions or not. Define your options, and if possible, those of the other negotiator as well. Then find out about what their options are. Sorry. Then what are the other alternatives? Then you've got to have to list those alternatives and to prioritize them according to their preference to you. And the first, if I cannot reach an agreement with this negotiator, what would be my first option? Okay, then sell to customer A. If customer A doesn't want the product, then customer B, and so on. Then you've got to come up with those kinds of options. And those options are not only about who is going to buy your products if the current negotiator does not. It's about the as well the modifications that you can or the adaptations you can maybe make to the product to make it less costly, less expensive, or you add a feature or something like that because you see that all the negotiators are asking for something that your product does not have. Okay, then what would be your options after that? And we have here this concept that was developed by Harvard Negotiation Project that is called BATNA. And BATNA stands for Best Alternative to Negotiated Agreement. Then that would be your best option if an agreement is not reached with the current negotiator. Then in case of no deal, okay, the best option is somebody who is following. For instance, you've got somebody who is offering 38 euros per unit, and now you are asking for 40, and the other negotiator is offering only 37. Then your best option now is better than your the proposal of your negotiator. Then you are not going to accept something that is lower than your BATNA. Then the BATNA would be the minimum that you can accept because you know that is something that is guaranteed. You can take it if a deal is not struck, a deal is not found with the other negotiator. And that's what we call the best option if, or the best alternative, if an agreement is not reached between you and the other negotiator. And you've got to ask yourself in what an agreement is still better than my best alternative or fallback position. Then if I have already the guarantee to sell at 38 and now I'm asking for 39, then if I sell at 39, this is better than my fallback position, okay? But if it goes beyond 39, that would not be a good agreement. Then ask yourself whether the agreement that you are about to reach is still better than your first alternative. And as a consequence, define your position. And you can say, I'm asking for 40 euros. I already have the guarantee to sell the product at 38. Then I can go back to 38.5, for instance. Okay, I cannot go lower. And here you are defining your leeway, the margin of your concessions. Then to what extent you are going to make concessions while keeping the agreement better than my first alternative. I hope it's clear, and if it's not, please let me a question in the chat box so that we can address it in the Q&A session. And the fourth step is about establishing clear proposals, and this is an important slide. And actually, I think it would be maybe I'm hesitating, but I would say it's the best slide in the whole presentation. You can print it out and maybe post it over your office or something like that, over your desk. I wanted to say in your office. Then that would be very helpful because it would help you do a good preparation. Then establish clear proposals on the basis of what you have learned from the previous steps. Then prepare a basic offer that you can adapt to each customer according to what they are asking for. Then here you have a product description. Then you've got to give all the technical specifications and everything that has to do with the product. Very important then to have all the information here so that you can understand all the questions that are asked to you about the products and you can address them. Price and pricing policy, main sources of supply, who are your suppliers if you can, because some suppliers are very known on the market, and if you say that you are sourcing from those suppliers. This is going to give you an advantage in the eyes of your of the buyer, because you know that you are sourcing from somebody who sells good quality products and so on. Production and delivery capacity. What's the production capacity that you can commit to? Okay, if you say I'm able to deliver 1 container per month, you've got to fulfill your commitment then. And in order for you to do that, you've got to know about your production capacity and about the other customers as well, because you will not be working only for one customer. Then you have 1 container capacity, for instance, and you have a customer who buys 1 container per month, then you are not going to satisfy the other ones, and they are going to be disappointed, and they may go to competition. Then you've got to spare some capacity, some slack capacity, to be able to fulfill other orders coming from existing or current customers. Proposed Incoterm, then the Incoterm you are comfortable with, and this does not prevent you from being able to accept other Incoterms as well when asked by customers. Maybe you propose FO as the basic one, and somebody who is interested in X works or in DDP, you've got to accept it, because otherwise you would maybe lose a good opportunity. Then important to be able to adapt yourself. Packaging, then what packaging you are proposing, and what kind of certification on that packaging do you have, and so on. Marking and labeling form, then text, the label, language, the brands and pictograms that you're going to oppose on the packaging, and so on. Proposed mode of transport, then you say, okay, my product would be better transported by air, for instance, but if you wanted me to export it by sea, I can do that, but there are some conditions, because it has to be transported over a long distance, and then it has to be transported in good conditions and so on. Okay, then you've got to be aware of that as well. Proposed payment terms. What do you propose as payment terms? Okay, and the 10th point, main markets and current customers. To what market you are selling right now? Current customers, if there are some customers that are very known, this is going to give you a competitive edge over your competition as well. If you are able to sell your products to, let's say, Germany, for instance, then this is going to give the impression, the right impression to the buyer that you can comply with strict requirements and so on, and your products can be exported without any hassle and so on. Then very important, actually, if you have or if you're selling to a specific popular hypermarket, for instance, say it. Okay, I'm selling to that hypermarket and so on. This would maybe single you out from competition, and would give you a competitive advantage in the eyes of your buyer. Then anticipate questions and prepare your answer. This is the last step. You've got to anticipate or to predict what questions the negotiator would ask you, and prepare your answers consequently. And here we have, we can depict the negotiation process as being a process made of 9 cases, 9 squares. Okay, and in those 9 squares, as you can see, all of them start with no, here in the we've got to change it, because in the French version, which is the original version, the 9 steps start all of them with the letter C. Okay, then here we have comprehension, but comprehension in English means something else. Then understanding depicts or conveys the right understanding of what we want, the right meaning of what we want to say. Trust as well, confiance in French, okay, starts with C. Then this is a tool that was coined or invented by a former director of at ITC, Clous. Then try to anticipate the 9 steps and try to distinguish between key stages and secondary stages. And we have here some key stages. Confrontation, you've got to prepare it thoroughly by predicting the questions and preparing the answers. Convergence and concession as well are very important stages that you've got to prepare by preparing question answer sheets. And you have conciliation as well, to conciliate the 2 positions. That is a very important one. All the green ones are key stages that you've got to prepare. The other one are just to support the key ones, okay? Clarification, understanding, trust, credibility, all of them are actually stages or that can be prepared just to support the key ones. Then how to prepare? Let's take the example of this first one, confrontation. Confrontation means that you're starting from diverging or different positions. You have 2 positions that are different over something, and you've got to try to work out that gap, okay, to bridge it, okay, or to fill it up. Then what you are going to do, you are going to start negotiating over that point, okay? And here you've got to predict, anticipate the questions that will be asked by, or the arguments or the objections that will be put forward by the other negotiator. Then how to do that? And let's look at this example here. We have here the question answer sheet, a kind question answer sheet. Then this is an example of a question answer sheet regarding the confrontation phase. And here, what we anticipate as a question or objection, we anticipate that the customer is not going to accept for instance, okay? Then you anticipate that the negotiator is going to tell you the Incoterm FOB that you propose does not suit us. We would like you to invoice using DDP. And DDP FOB stands for free on board. DDP stands for delivered due date paid, delivered all costs paid. As is this Incoterm that is used when you buy something from eBay, Amazon, Alibaba Express, and you get the parcel up to your own home. Okay, this is DDP. And here, the seller takes care of everything, including the customs clearance at your own country. Then sometimes the buyer tells the seller that they are interested in DDP. And DDP means what? It means that as a seller, you are going to pay for everything, okay, even the transportation of the product from the port or the airport to your own home or warehouse, including the customs duties. Then you're going to advance as a seller, you're going to pay a lot of costs, and you are going to invoice your customer, okay, who pays you, I don't know, maybe 1 month, 2 months, 3 months later. And during this time, your money cannot be fructified because it's there waiting to be paid by the customer. Then here there is a cash flow issue here, a cash flow issue. Then what would you do? Here, this is a kind of possible answer. Then it would be possible for us to accept to invoice you using DDP as you are asking, but there are a lot of risks associated with DDP, and to cover those risks, we need 2 things. First one, you pay us a kind of upfront payment, upfront payment of X percent, okay? Pay us 30% to 40% because we are going to advance to pay a lot of money, and we will be waiting for that money to be actually cashed in 2 or 3 months later. Then you've got to help us, then give us an upfront payment, okay? And second, DDP, if we sell DDP, It means that we are going to take all the costs. We are engaging ourselves to pay you at a specific price, whereas the transportation cost and customs duties can increase. Then here we are going to put in our contract that we can increase the price if the transportation cost, the insurance cost, or the customs duties cost increases. Okay, and this would give us the possibility to actually to make you pay for any increase in the cost. We're not going to lose money by accepting this DDP. Okay, this is a kind of possible answer that you're going to put or to give to your customer. And here, in this example, as I said, accepting DDP requires the seller to bear all the costs, and that would exert a kind of pressure on his or her cash flow. The cost of transportation may increase, and I'm aware of some cases where some people accepted to sell DDP, and between the time the order was placed, and the goods were received by the buyer. In the meanwhile, customs duties in the importing country increased from 5% to 40%, and this is huge. And nothing was put in contracts actually to revise the price. And then the buyer did not accept to pay anything else rather than what was more than what was agreed upon, and they paid only the price that was agreed upon before the increase in the customs duties, because there was no clause in the contract. Then here, if you've got a good preparation, you will be aware of such things. Argue at the right time, then don't argue all the time. Argue only when it's necessary, and avoid over arguing. Don't give the impression that you are pushy, that you want just to make the sale. Okay, then try to argue only when necessary. This is a simulation of a sales price negotiation between a buyer and the seller, and here this is a kind of scenario that I prepared. Then we have here the buyer who received a quotation, and who sent this email saying, we have received your price offer for the supply of a container of diced tomatoes according to the specifications. We agree on all the proposed terms, but the unit price of 0.45 euros ex-works Lagos seems too expensive compared to your competitors' prices. The maximum we could pay is 0.40 per unit. And the seller answers this way: thank you for your response regarding our price offer. We are pleased to note your agreement on the terms of our offer, except for the price. In this regard, we would like to draw your attention to the fact that our proposal involves the supply of premium quality tomatoes, whose production cost is high. That said, our selling price of 0.45 is well below that of our competitors. Then here we're addressing what they're saying about competition. Okay, then it's not the same category of product. Then our price is well below that of our competitors for premium quality. However, we would be willing to charge you 0.40 only, as requested, if you accept the delivery of category 2 tomatoes. Then we're proposing something else. And the buyer says, we thank you for the clarification regarding the price of your tomatoes. However, it's the premium quality that interests us, and we would be willing to pay you a price of 0.42 per unit. And here, see here, clarification is one of the steps of the process, as I explained before. Then the seller answers, as we are committed to satisfying our customers while remaining profitable, then we cannot sell at a low price because we'll be losing money. we could not sell this quality below 0.45 euros. However, we could make an additional effort and lower the price to 0.43 only, but only for a minimum order of 2 containers. Okay, we take this opportunity to remind you that we are HACCP and FSC 22000 certified, and our suppliers are Global Gap certified. And here I'm saying that I'm sourcing from somebody who is Global Gap certified, and myself, I'm certified. Then I'm giving an argument, very important, and I'm giving it in the right manner and at the right time, so that I can convince them to accept 0.44 or to increase actually their order to 2 containers instead of only 1. Furthermore, we would like to inform you that we have already exported this product to Europe. And for this, we had to make the necessary efforts to ensure compliance with European regulations. We have also done the same to adapt the packaging, labeling, and so on. And here we are giving a bigger or a stronger argument, a stronger element to convince the buyer. And the buyer here seems to be very satisfied. Okay, very interesting. Okay, then could you please send us a copy of the compliance? If you say that your product is compliant and so on, then send us a copy of it so that we can certify and start asking for any authorization if needed, and send us as well a safety sheet. Okay, of course, then they said that it's okay. Okay, then it means here it implies that the price is accepted. However, as you have opted for the ex-works Ecoterm, and as the transport between the factory, our factory, and the port of Lagos will be handled by your carrier, we will need to obtain the export documentation after the shipment of the goods, because they have to justify that they have exported. For this, we suggest either using our transportation provider or our freight forwarder, so that we can make sure that they are going to collect the justification document that justifies the customs clearance, and they are going to bring them back to us so that we can justify that our products were exported. Okay, because for the sake of benefiting from different incentives dedicated for exporters, and sometimes if the exported product is made of imported raw materials, there is a kind of suspension of customs duties, then we've got to justify that we have re-exported the imported raw materials after transformation. Okay, then we need those documents, and we have to make sure that we are going to collect them. And here you see that we are doing what? We were negotiating only the Incoterm. We were negotiating only the price. And here we've reached an agreement on the price, and we open up the debate on something else, which is the Incoterm and its implications. Then, okay, we accept the Incoterm, but bring us the documents that justify that the product has been shipped and exported. Some other recommended preparations that the exporter has to do: psychological preparation. Then self-control. They've got to prepare themselves to pace themselves, not to lose their temper when irritated, when insulted, and so on. And they have also to be ready to defend themselves against ploys. Cultural preparation. Then there are some cultural affinities, what we call do's and don'ts, what is permissible to do or to say in a foreign culture and what is not. Then they've got to know about what people from the other country are sensitive about, what they want, what they expect, what they don't expect. And the non-verbal communication, very important, because sometimes in some countries, it's shaming to say no. Then people have different versions or variations of yes to say no. Okay, then I don't want to give examples of countries, but in many East Asian countries, in their dialects, they don't have no. They have in one country, they have 5 kinds of yes. And the lowest one means no. Then instead of saying no, they say, okay, I'll see, etc., etc. Then it means, according to the context, according to other communication, non-verbal communication tools like gestures, like the traits of the face and so on, people understand that they are refusing. Then this is what we call the high context versus low context. We have some culture that are high context, then you've got to take into consideration what people say, but also what they do and what they don't do. Then the context, you've got to decipher the context to understand what people want to say. In other context, like the North American context and the West European context, it's a kind of low context because people, more often than not, they say what they think. Okay, then the communication is direct, and the people don't retain themselves from saying what they don't like. We have some people who are single task and some people who are multitask, and we call them polychronics versus monochronics. People who are able to talk about one thing only at a time, and people who can talk about many things in the same time. They are answering the phone, they are taking notes, and they are making gestures to some signs to somebody to do something, and so on. Then people, in some contexts, people do many things in the same time, whereas in some other contexts, they don't. And when you have somebody from monochronic context or monochronic culture negotiating with somebody from a polychronic culture, they drive them crazy, because the monochronic is talking about one point and the other one is jumping from one point to another one. Then they go in different ways and they make the other one completely not. Logistical preparation as well is very important, because if you are traveling to the other country, you've got to take with you business cards, documentation, and you make simulations and scenarios about different Incoterms that you are willing to accept or not to accept. Who you will negotiate with, and here we're going to talk about negotiators. Then we have different typologies of the negotiators, depending on the identity of the negotiator, because women don't negotiate like men, as a matter of fact, and you know it very well in your own countries. And women don't negotiate the same way with other women than with men, okay? In some countries, even it's not a good thing for women to negotiate with men. Then I don't want again to cite examples, but very important to take this into consideration. The age, in some countries, the elderly is sacred. We cannot look at their eyes. In some countries, it's not. Then depends again. Then I'm telling you this because you've got to find out about who you will be negotiating with, so that you can adapt yourself by appointing the right negotiator. Nationality and culture, I've just talked about the different cultures and the implications of negotiation. The personality of the negotiator, then a sense of connection. Some people are there in the meeting room just to answer questions. When they don't say a word if they are not asked the question, then you've got to keep asking them questions. Then introverted. Some people feel really in a discomfortable situation when they are surrounded with other people. Some people, let's say, suffer from what we call agoraphobia. Then they have agoraphobia, they don't want to be with a lot of people, and so on. Ability to understand and listen. A lot of people, again, don't listen. They think they listen because they start listening and they make up their own answer, and they tell you, okay, I've understood what you want to say, okay? And they start answering in a different way, okay? Then very important to have an active listening attitude so that you can understand very well what is being said and prepare your answer accordingly. Decision-making autonomy. Some people come to the meeting room without any autonomy to make a decision. Then You just take note of what you are saying, and they tell you we are going to refer to our hierarchy, and we are going to come up with a decision in 1 week or 2 weeks. And whereas you've come to the meeting room waiting for the other one to make a decision right away. Creativity, I talked about creativity previously by saying that you've got to come up with new solutions when the discussion is stuck, when you are bogged down in the discussion. Then you've got to find out new ways of unstucking the discussion by proposing new solutions or new paths of solutions. Then the negotiation methods used, sometimes they are in line, and more often than not, they are in opposition, like when you have an aggressive negotiator negotiating with a friendly one, or a dominant who negotiates with somebody that they want to submit. Charming versus irritating. You have somebody who is interested in analysis, then they come up with a lot of figures, a lot of data, a lot of graphs, a lot of charts, and they have in face of them a negotiator who is intuitive. Okay, then they don't pay attention to all those figures and charts and so on. They rely on their own intuition. Then very important actually to be prepared to deal with both kinds of negotiators. Optimistic, pessimistic. Then optimistic is somebody who is willing to negotiate and to reach an agreement, and pessimistic is somebody who comes to the meeting room saying, I knew it from the beginning, we are not going to reach an agreement because I knew it, and so on. Then you've got again to come up with solutions pertaining to both. Monochronic, polychronic, I explained this before, and multitask and monotask. Monochronic is somebody who is not able to work on more than one thing at a time, whereas a polychronic one is someone who is keen on doing a lot of things in the same time. Okay, and sometimes I'm impressed by some people who are able to do a lot of things, and they're talking to you. There is a phone interruption. They answer the phone while making signs to their secretary about things, and they're taking notes of something else, or they're signing something else. And when they hang up, they come back to the point where the discussion with you stopped. Then they don't lose the third way. Okay, they don't use their north, as we say. Then people who are very focused on what they're saying while they're saying a lot of things, or they're doing a lot of things at the same time. And they said that it's very confusing, very dazzling when a monochronic is negotiating with a polychronic. Segments of food product negotiators. Then people who are going to buy from you food products, they are good, more often than not, they are going to negotiate some terms or some prices or some conditions. Then in this case, we have 3 kinds of segments of food product buyers or negotiators. We have retailers and buyers from mass market retailers, and supermarkets and hypermarkets, and purchasing centers as well. We have as a second segment buyers from agri-food companies that are going to process the product that you are selling to them to make a final product that are going to propose to end consumers. And finally, we have end consumers and the general public. And as a matter of fact, what we've prepared in that slide that I told you, that's the most important one. That's the basic. Then you've got to have this information. And in addition, you have to adapt yourself to the kind of segment you have in front of you. In the first segment, that is an interesting set target market for companies that meet the following main conditions. Then they have large production and delivery capacity. Then they are able to send containers, because otherwise they won't be interesting for purchasing centers and hypermarkets and so on, because their production capacity is very low and it's not compliant. Then one important criterion is to have large production and delivery capacity. Second condition, the market you are targeting is sensitive to private label brands, because otherwise it would be more interesting for you to sell your products directly. then passing through or going through those purchasing centers and hypermarkets may give you an opportunity to sell under their own brands, store brands, and that would give you more visibility on the market and more leeway to develop your activity progressively before entering with your own brand. Other conditions, short delivery times, because when these hypermarkets need a product, they need it. They need it yesterday, as we say. Okay, then you need it yesterday. It means that in an ideal situation, you would not want to go out of inventory, and if they can be actually delivered. If the product can be delivered the soonest, they will not be against it. Then the sooner the better. Then short delivery times because of the proximity of the market, or the presence of an on-site logistic dispatching platform, like when you have a dispatching platform in Europe, for instance, that you're going to, let's say, you are going to sell a lot of products, to send a lot of products to that dispatching platform. And whenever you receive an order, you give the instructions to your dispatching platform to deliver the product to the hyper that is placing the order. And this would take hours rather than days or even weeks sometimes. In the case of retailers, if you are targeting retailers, then it's very important actually to be able to cover all the network by partnering with an local distribution structure, or by controlling it, and by having a kind of participation in its equity or something like that. Then you've got to have some command, some control over that distribution structure, or to go through that distribution structure so that you can cover all those retailers. The information or the answers that you've got to prepare, in addition to the usual international trade questions that we prepared in our previous slide. Then products listing fees, if you want to enter in a new retailer and sell your product under their own, under your own brand, you've got to pay fees, entry fees. Okay, then you've got to find out about those fees. Discount for large quantities. If that hyper places a bigger order than usual, they expect you to reduce the price. Then are you willing to do that? Then be ready to answer accordingly. Production and delivery capacity also. Transit time, how long it would take to deliver the product. Delivery deadline and the shelf life. What we call in French DLC, délai limite de consommation. Donc, shelf life. What is the life expectancy on the shelf of the hyper? Possibility of consignment sales. Can you accept it? Some people would ask you whether to be paid only when your product is sold, not before. External packaging, because sometimes we buy a lot of products and we want for bigger packaging. ULDs, then pallets, containers, and so on. Marketing, and so on. Private label, then store brand. Are you interested in such an option? Presence of a local dispatching platform. Do you have one, or are you a member of one that can dispatch the product in case of the inventory is out of order? The other segment, buyers from agri-food companies, then companies that would process your products as raw material and make it a final product. Then the company would benefit from using this approach if its product is used in the manufacture of another product, or if it needs to undergo some form of processing before it becomes a final product. Then in addition to the basic questions we asked ourselves before, you've got to prepare the following information, or the following answers as well. Require certifications for production and any potential processing of the product. then sometimes your customer is going to ask for certification that covers the whole process from the supplier to you, because themselves they are certified and they need to have some guarantee regarding the certification, regarding quality and the process and so on. Product traceability, then they need to have a kind of track-up of the product up to its sources and its roots. Laboratory analysis data, then they have to find out about the nutritional values and everything. Product perishability, like whether it's a product that can live for a few weeks or a few days only. Transport and handling conditions, if necessary, guarantee and uninterrupted cold chain and or protection from lights, because some products can be damaged by light. Then this approach of sending to end consumers and to the public, the general public, is possible only in three main cases: when participating in exhibitions and trade sales, or trade shows or sales events that allow for direct selling to the public, to visitors. Partnership with or control of a distribution structure that allows for direct sales to end consumers, and sometimes online sales and direct delivery to buyers. But there are some actually some conditions to be met for that to be possible. Then here are the conditions. The company has a large production and distribution capacity, because you are going to sell directly to end consumers. Then you've got to have to cover the whole channel, like through retailers or through your own selling points. The company controls all aspects related to product presentation and promotion. The company has the ability to collect and process individual payments, and the company has the capacity to manage returns and provide after-sales service. Then, if your company is a small one, forget about this possibility, because it would be possible only when participating in trade shows that allow selling to visitors. But you cannot sell on a day-to-day basis to consumers directly, because it takes a lot of investment in selling points and sometimes brick and mortar stores, and sometimes only click and click stores, as if you're selling online. Course of the negotiation, then how the negotiation is going to roll up. Then we have two different ways of depicting it. The first one is what we call the negotiation pyramid. Okay, and this goes from the bottom to the top. Welcome the customer, and when you receive a customer for the first time and you don't know about their needs, then you've got to identify their needs by asking them questions about what they want, what their needs are, and so on. And after that, once you understand the needs, you've got to come up with an offer that is adapted to their needs. Okay, then what product you are going to offer them? That would be a solution to their needs. Okay, provide arguments to explain in what this is a good product, and it's even of a superior quality compared to that of competitors, or it adds more value, or it's unique, and so on. Then we've got to come up with some basic arguments. Address objections by giving some additional arguments as well. Address objections that ideally you would have predicted and prepared before. And after that, close the sale and goodbye, the farewell here. And we are going to close the sale and keep the relationship live. The second way of depicting or illustrating the process is what I call the plane metaphor. You know, a plane before taking off has to go through a lot of checkups, a lot of verification, a lot of preparation before going up. And here, when it comes to negotiation, it is the preparation of the negotiation. And once you start the negotiation, this is what we call then takeoff preparation, and here we call cruising speed. Then here, you are going to use the techniques, the point by point or the gradual technique, give and way, etc. Then one of the technique or more than one that you are going to use and that the other negotiator is going to use during the whole process of cruising speed. Then here, once you strike a deal, okay, or you don't, then you've got to prepare the landing. Then what we call landing, you are going to prepare the landing because otherwise you're going to crash the plane. Then you've got as well to start reducing the gas, you start reducing your altitude and so on. You're going to do it in a progressive way. When it comes to negotiation, the closure is here, then you close actually the negotiation. Don't go away right away. Then you start preparing for the landing. Preparing for the landing, you are going to make a kind of, you are going to give a form to that deal. Can be a contract, it can be something. And you've got as well to make the customer feel that you are interested in keeping the relationship with them by agreeing upon some mechanisms of following up. And we are going to find out in the last section of this presentation. Then let's go through those three phases. Then the first one, takeoff. As you can see here, we are in the cockpit and we have a lot of buttons, okay? A lot of monitors and a lot of things that you've got to check before trying to take off. Okay, then first one with regard to negotiation, you've got to prepare yourself and you've got to find customers. Then find customers, okay, prospect and find potential customers. And one of the examples that you can use is trade map. And in the trade map tool, you have a kind of tab at the first page, okay? First page of it, when you enter the harmonized system code of your product, among the presentation forms, you are going to find a tab called Enterprises, okay? You click on it and you are going to find some proposals of companies interested by importing that product from your country or from whatever country. Then clicking on them would give you a kind of sheet that gives you information about data about the company, sometimes the turnover, sometimes it gives you only the name of the person to be contacted, its phone number, and sometimes the email as well. And you've got to contact those people to tell them about what you have in your company, the description of the company, the products that you are selling. That product is a kind of solution to the client needs or the customer needs, sorry. Who, what, when, why, how, and where. Then you've got to come to understand those needs and the solution that you can offer to those needs. You give an idea about the price and the cost-benefit analysis and a summary why that buyer needs to buy from you rather than from your competition, and why now. The three basic questions that we ask ourselves before. Then the interested prospect may have additional questions. In this case, this would send you a kind of inquiry. And you are going to, when you receive the inquiry, you start by sending an email thanking the prospect for their interest and giving them a date by which you will send them your quotation, and tell them in 2 days or in 1 week, depending on the availability of the information they are asking for. And you've got to abide by the rule of 3 C's. Be courteous in your message, be concise, and clear in your quotation. Then try to be as clear as you can so that you prevent them from asking additional questions regarding the same point. Carry out the necessary verifications and prepare a response. They're asking about whether you are able to send them 3 containers if you don't have the information. And I recommended that you have this information if you have gone through a thorough process of verification and of preparation. Then sometimes you may not have the information available, like when they ask you how much transportation would cost between your country and the country of the importer, and it will be the first time you are sending to that country. You don't have any idea, and even if you have idea, you've got to verify it again with the carrier and the freight forwarder before answering. Then give them a fair date, an approximate date, and tell them that you will be sending your quotation by that date. After sending the quotation, if the buyer is satisfied with what you are proposing to them, they are going to place an order. Otherwise, they are going to negotiate some points. Okay, they are going to ask whether the price can be negotiable or not, and whether the Incoterm can be changed and so on. And here, since we have different positions, we enter a negotiation. This is very important because we said a negotiation starts only when there is divergence, when the positions are different with regard to a specific point. Then I remind you of this picture, an information request or inquiry that he sent to the company, and the company do some checkups, some verifications, and send the quotation. If the buyer agrees to the terms of that quotation, they are going to place an order. Otherwise, they are going to negotiate the terms, the price, and everything. And after that, they may, if they are satisfied, they're going to place an order. And after verification, again, when you receive the order, you are going to ship the products, get paid, and do the follow-up, the relationship. Then negotiation mode during the cruising speed can be face-to-face, can be by phone, can be by email or online. Then every kind of negotiation takes some different precautions because when you're negotiating face-to-face, you see the other negotiator, you can interpret their non-verbal communication. You can see whether they are satisfied or not, and so on, by looking them in the eyes and so on. In the contrary, by the phone, you can rely only on the tone of their voice. Okay, by email, you have something that is impersonal. Then you've got to make your own conclusions just by reading, and this does not give you the advantage of deciphering the non-verbal communication aspects. Online, okay, sometimes Zoom or Teams or others. Okay, then every negotiation mode implies some kinds of preparation. Strategy chosen by the buyer, then we start negotiating, and you're going to find out whether they are looking just to get their own benefit or they are striving for a win-win solution. If you identify that they are adopting a distributive approach, try them to move on to a collaborative approach. Talk to them about sustainability, about the future, about win-win situation, and so on. And if they keep negotiating according to distributive approach, you've got to move yourself to a distributive approach as well. Okay, because otherwise you will be losing where they will be asking. Then very important actually to be in line with them. If they don't want to move away from the distributive approach, you've got to adopt it yourself, because otherwise you will be losing where they will be winning. If you sense that they are adopting a collaborative approach, that's good. Then keep yourself again using the collaborative approach, because it's a win-win situation, and you are trying to place that collaboration or that relationship in the time. Then you want to make that relationship sustainable. Then when you start negotiating and you feel that they are using one of the techniques like point by point or incremental or package, try to push them to use the package negotiation. Okay, I'm giving an example here. For instance, you are negotiating the price, and the price is the most important point to be negotiated. But in addition to the price, you have like packaging, like transportation, and so on. Then you tell them that the price has implications on other points. Then try to negotiate a package. Tell them, if I accept, for instance, DDP, as we said in the example before, okay, that would have some implications on the cost, and will have some implications as well on the risks to be taken. Then try to negotiate a package rather than point by point, because otherwise you will go to point 4 and you go back to point 1 because of some implications on point 1. Then all the points to be negotiated, more often than not, they are intertwined. Then you've got to try to negotiate on the basis of the package rather than point by point. Okay, then here, if you detect that the other negotiator is using ploys against you, then the buyer is using ploys, and you said that ploys are meant here or are understood in their negative sense, negative meaning. Then first, when you identify that ploys are used against you, keep your calm, keep your composure. Then don't lose your temper. Okay, keep being calm and paced. Okay. Second, reiterate the points to be negotiated and tell them, okay, we are here to negotiate those points. Then let's stick to these points. Okay, don't go from point this to point what, unless they are linked to each other. As I said before, if they are not, then we've got to negotiate point by point. And as I said again, I'm repeating it. I don't want to give the impression that I'm giving some confusing things. Negotiate the package only if the points are linked or intertwined between them. If points are completely separate from each other, then negotiate point by point. Okay. Then here, if you find out that the buyer is trying to negotiate points that are not intertwined and they are jumping from one point to another one, tell them, okay, we've got to stick to what we are negotiating until we finish it and we move on to the other point, unless you give me evidence that the points are intertwined or are interdependent. Then tell them we're not here to talk about the culture of my country. We're not here to talk about what happened in my country or in my company. We are here to negotiate the following points that we put on our agenda. Okay, and try to stick to this because we have a specific time allotted to this negotiation, and I don't want to go over it. If the used ploy involves physical discomfort, okay, like putting you in a very cold room or an air conditioner that is very strong and something like that, request to change seats or even the room. If they want to make you starve until 5 p.m., ask to take a break, okay, and refuse to continue the negotiation unless you get something to eat, then take a break, okay. Convey to the other party that you are committed to securing a long-term agreement and are interested in a long-lasting win-win partnership. Very important, because more often than not, they are going to change their mind about what they are doing, and they would forego using ploys against you. Then the landing very important. Then there are different types of closures. Then we can reach a complete and final agreement, and sometimes it's a kind of contract. Sometimes we reach a partial or provisional agreement, and sometimes we can make some advance, some progress, but no agreement, and we're far from reaching any agreement. Then here, if we agree to continue again that negotiation in the future, it would be better to have a kind of a memorandum of understanding so that we can write down what we agree to and what we don't, so that next time we'll start from where we stopped this time. Okay, very important. And again, after signing the agreements, don't leave promptly the meeting room, okay, because that would leave the buyer with a bad impression or bad feeling. Then try to actually to take care of the farewell process as well. Then try to agree on how you are going to follow up the relationship, if there are any things that you can do for them to make them more satisfied, and so on. And after that, try to reassure what they are doing, thank them, escort them if they are in your own meeting room, say goodbye, and say goodbye, not a final goodbye or farewell. Then goodbye, it means that we are going to see our each other again and again, because we said before that we want to make it a sustainable relationship. Ensure a good follow-up, very important. Then first thing, when to ensure customer follow-up. Important actually to make a follow-up. And the first situation is after an initial contact, cold or warm. Cold if it's done proactively on your own initiative. Warm if it's after a referral by somebody. Then you make a first contact with the prospect. Not react, then try to thank them and try to keep the relationship going on. If they have asked questions or made objections, then try to answer them. Then this is a kind also of a situation where a follow-up is necessary. To provide more information on subjects of interest, then we were talking about something, and the following day there is a new law that was issued in your own country regarding that subject. Then to keep them abreast of this situation, tell them that the situation has changed because of this and that, okay, and keep them informed. That would be a good occasion to follow up. To respond to their proposal or counter-proposal. Then you made a quotation and they made a counter-proposal, and to respond to that counter-proposal, that would be also a situation, good situation to follow up. To acknowledge receipt of their inquiry or order. Then they made an inquiry, then to acknowledge the receipt, this is also follow-up. To thank them for their time and attention after a meeting or order, or to present your after-sale service terms for the case they would need to have recourse to. Then this is an example of an email, a follow-up email after a quotation. Then we say the quotation, there, Mrs., Mr., on the date of, you honored us by sending a request for information regarding our product X, then you give the reference. Following the receipt of the request, we provided a quotation on the date of, for the supply, have a very touchy mouse. Following the receipt of your request, we provided the quotation of the dates of for the supply of Y units of the same product. Similarly, we proposed our usual commercial terms while specifying that we remain at your disposal to adapt, if necessary, to your preferred terms, Incoterms, transportation, and payment methods, and so on. Okay, we are pleased to send you an updated version of the aforementioned quotation and remain at your full disposal to provide further information regarding our offer and or discuss its terms. Then this is an example of email just to follow up and to make the buyer react to our quotation by showing that we're willing to negotiate, we are willing to adapt, and we are willing to serve. Okay, and people would perceive such an email as a sign of professionalism and of seriousness. Why ensure customer follow-up? Okay, many reasons. First one is to capitalize on customer satisfaction, and even when the customer is satisfied during the period directly following the delivery, that's what we call the honeymoon phase. Then you want to capitalize on it by showing your bona fide and by telling them that you want to keep serving them. Another reason is that a satisfied customer today may not necessarily be satisfied in the future because of many reasons. And one of the reasons is the following: the need that your product addresses today is likely to evolve tomorrow. Then today your product is a solution to a specific need, and tomorrow the need would evolve and your product is no longer a solution. Then by keeping in touch, the customer is going to tell you that your product is no longer a solution, and they would maybe recommend some adaptations so that you can keep proposing a solution. Or maybe because your competitors may have come up with a new product that adds more value to your customers, so that is less likely, or that comes up with a new technology or something like that. All those reasons explain why to ensure customer follow-up. Other reasons as well include ensuring follow-up will project an image of seriousness and professionalism in the eyes of the customer. Customers generally would value such a kind of act of professionalism by asking about their dues and about whether they're satisfied or not. It is much less expensive to retain existing customers than to acquire new ones. Okay, then if you have loyal customers, try to keep them loyal. Try to keep them loyal by keeping them satisfied, because some studies have shown that it costs between 5 and 20 times to recruit new customers than to satisfy the ones you already have. Then try to take care of those you already have, because it's costs you much less than if you want to recruit new customers. And one other reason, because your satisfied customers will recommend you to others. They are going to act as if they were salespeople unpaid of your company. They are going to sell your products to other customers. Then try to set up and monitor some customer satisfaction tracks so that you can keep them satisfied all the time. How to ensure customer follow-up? Two kinds of communication. Then we have passive follow-up or passive communication. It's when you have a good and rich website and you have an effective presence on social media with relevant, high-quality, dynamic and value content that visitors would appreciate. Then whenever they need something, they're going to visit your pages or your website, and they're going to find what they need. Active communication follow-up is when you target your buyers directly by direct mails, by visits, physical visits or virtual visits, phone calls, a newsletter, and so on. All those means can ensure a good follow-up with your customers. Then how to ensure customer follow-up again? Then the basic requirement is to gather as much information as you can on the customer. And sometimes you need to have a kind of customer file, like the one you have on the right side of the screen. Then you have your company, you have the goals of the meeting, what the details of the. Then here, the goals of the meeting, you are going to put all the information that you have gleaned during the meeting, goals of the customer, why to have, then everything that has to do with the customer, you're going to put it in that file. That can be a virtual file or a physical one. Okay, then the most important is to be up to date and complete. Okay, then try to nurture the relationship by communicating regularly without overdoing it, without shelling the customer with a lot of emails and 3 emails by day and then so on. That would be too much. Then try to do it without exaggerating. Be attentive to your customers whenever they tell you something or they ask for something. Then try to be attentive to what they're saying. Focus on the omni-channel relationship. Then be open to communication using all the channels, including the social media and so on. Schedule follow-up actions if possible. Set up a CRM system. Then CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System. Then you have a lot of software applications dedicated to CRM. Then some of them are cheap, and some of them are even free of charge for a limited time or for a limited volume of customers and so on. Then try to do it in a way that would reminds you of getting in touch with people, because I know that all of you are overwhelmed with day-to-day. Then you need something to remind you to be in touch with your customers. And sometimes you've got just to automate your CRM, and the CRM would send emails every 2 weeks, every month to your customers, asking them whether there is something you can do for them, for instance. Okay. Then 5 important steps in ensuring the follow-up. Thank the customer immediately after the delivery of the goods. For instance, you just delivered the good and send an email like the one that I showed to you before, telling them that you appreciate the order and you are at their disposal if they need you again. Ensure everything is going well. Then 1 to 2 weeks after the receipt of the goods, ask them whether they are satisfied with the goods or not. And if they are not, what you can do to make them satisfied. Ask for permission to stay in touch and keep communication channels open. Then you can do it periodically through newsletters or occasionally through new events. For instance, whenever there is a new event, you inform them. Then tell them there is a new law that has been published and that says so and so. There is a new seaway that has been just opened before your country and mine, or an airway that has been inaugurated between your country and mine, and so on. Then keep them abreast of what is of interest to them. Prepare the ground for another sale and detect whether they have new needs and how you can help them. And if you introduce a new or a modified product, let them know as well. Ask for recommendations then without overdoing it, because people can do it once or twice, but they are not going to do it many times if you are asking them. Then if another company or another buyer is interested in buying your product and they ask them about their whether they have somebody that they can refer to, then it comes without saying. But when you ask for recommendations, you can do it once, at most twice. And after that, some people find that it's boring to keep doing that for you. This is an example of an email after the customer has received the goods. Okay, then there, Mr. Our records indicate that the goods related to your order number so-and-so have been delivered to you in good condition, despite the special care we took with your order. If you are not satisfied with any of our products or with the conditions under which the goods were delivered, we would appreciate it if you could let us know as soon as possible. The complete satisfaction of our customers is of utmost importance to us. And you see here that the company shows that it cares about its customers. Thank you very much for the trust you have placed in us by entrusting us with your order. We remain at your full disposal to continue serving you. And here it makes the whole difference between a company that shows it cares about its customers and a company that doesn't. It's very important. And if you buy from your two companies, two similar products, and you receive such an email from one company and from the another, not from the other one, that would maybe give you an image of professionalism and seriousness of the company that sent such an email. And here you have an example of a company, an email sent to a company that has received goods that were damaged. Dear Mr. Thank you for a message, reference number dated, in which you informed us about the receipt of X damaged products. We are sorry for this inconvenience and greatly appreciate your bringing it to our attention. You are giving us another opportunity to continue serving you. Upon receiving your complaint, we initiated an investigation with our carrier to identify the causes of the product damage, despite the goods being shipped in good condition, as evidenced by the pre-shipment inspection certificate included with the document sent to you. Of course, we will keep you informed of the outcome of the investigation. In the meantime, please inform us by return email of the specifications and the number of damaged products so that we can send you replacement products as quickly as possible and at our expense with no charge to you. Concerned with the complete satisfaction of our customers, we will take all necessary measures to prevent such an incident for which we apologize from happening again in the future. Thank you for your understanding. Then again, this would position you as a company that cares about its customers and a company that wants to be around on the long run, a company whose business model is sustainable, and a company that can be trusted, a trustworthy company. As a conclusion, then some takeaway messages that I would like to leave you with. First, a successful negotiation involves good preparation of its content and process. And this, as I said at the beginning, a negotiation succeeds at up to 80% in terms of preparation. The foundation of any successful commercial negotiation is knowledge of the company, the product, the market, and the customer. And this is very important to start with. Yeah. I know of a Greek philosopher, I think it was Socrates, who said, know yourself by yourself. Then you've got to find out about how to get your knowledge of your own company and your own products. Preparing a comprehensive, clear, and well-argued basic offer enables an effective negotiation. The negotiation must demonstrate active listening and self-control and be familiar with negotiation strategies, techniques, and ploys. Ensuring good after-sales follow-up helps continue to satisfy the clientele. The company must be flexible and prepared to adapt to the needs and constraints of the buyers. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And